taking a peek at some of Battleborn's delightfully unhinged cast of characters. We were kindly invited to go check out Battleborn, 2K's upcoming first-person shoot-and-looter RPG MOBA type game, made by those lovely chaps over at Gearbox. We played a few PvP modes at the event, one which resembled a traditional shooter experience called Devastation, essentially team deathmatch with capture points on the map, and one called Meltdown, where you have to guide your robo-minion friends into a giant gaping mouth which eats them while fending off enemy players doing the same thing. The more minions you feed to the robo-mouth jobber, the more points you gain. However, in this video, I wanted to take a look at some of the characters of Battleborn and how they played in each mode. So let's get down to business! First up is this eagle-faced menace called Benedict. Benedict is what happens when the soldier from TF2 has relations with, well, an eagle. Dirty bastard. Yes, this giant bird brain comes equipped with an even gianter rocket launcher and an exosuit to boost his aerial prowess. He is able to perform unbelievable feats of anti-gravity tomfoolery, such as double jumping and gliding. Now, each character has access to 3 different skills, so let's take a look at what our Benedict can do. His first skill is called Hawkeye, which fires a rocket after a short delay that does damage to an enemy and, more importantly, marks them for a short time, meaning any follow-up rockets you fire after that will home in on them. You can't hide from Rocket Bird. His second skill is called Liftoff. A very straightforward skill. Benedict uses natural winged appendages to launch himself skyward. Useful for escaping any sticky situations, or just to gain an aerial advantage over those idiots who don't have wings. Idiots, stupid, bloody morons. Benedict's ultimate skill is called Boomsday. This fires a player-guided missile for massive damage. You are, however, quite vulnerable while doing this, as Benedict stands still with his iPad Eagle Edition or whatever it is to control the missile. So be careful! So, what did I think of Benedict? Well, I liked him. He seems a nice chap. When he's not vomiting missiles for some reason. I used him in the Devastation mode and found his aerial movement capabilities most useful for traversing the map and getting the drop on unsuspecting enemies. He isn't quite as agile as you may initially think he would be, but once you get used to his controls and skills, you can rule the skies! And the land below you. With missiles. Next up, let's take a look at a massive fat dwarf bloke with a hefty axe by the name of Baldur. Baldur is your classic lumbering dwarf character, complete with northern accent and oversized weaponry. A melee brawler, Baldur favours his trusty runic axe to carve up enemies into more manageable portions, but also sports a nifty shield to block enemy attacks and improve his HP regeneration in the midst of combat. On top of that, Baldur can become enraged by killing enemies, giving him a temporary boost to his attack speed and toughness. That's the Dwarven way. Baldur's first skill is called Boulder Dash, which allows Baldur to launch his mass forward to engage in glorious melee with the target whilst dealing damage and stunning your enemy, allowing you to begin mushing them up me. His next skill is called Axe Toss, and no points for guessing what this cleverly named skill does. Yes, indeed, you toss your axe at an enemy in an attempt to splice them silly. Good for picking off more agile characters trying to escape your Dwarven wrath, but beware, you must go and reclaim your axe manually once tossed. Don't tell the elf. On to Baldur's ultimate skill, Runes of Power! Baldur gets all magical up in here and gives himself a mighty buff which augments his abilities and skills. His first skill gets increased slam power and damage over time. His second skill gets changed so his axe detonates upon impact, dealing damage around it, and Baldur himself gets generally more damagey and regenerate-y. Yeah. How did I fare with this bearded brawler? Well, actually not great. I used him in the Devastation mode, and more often than not, I found myself being kited around like a kite by the more agile characters. Don't get me wrong, Baldur is as tough as a bag of bolts, and I can certainly see him having a place in some of the more MOBA-esque game modes of Battleborn. But in a team deathmatch scenario, I'm afraid speed will trump strength any day. Oh, also, Deadass! Right then, moving swiftly on, we have a lovely-looking slender girl with a bow called Thorn. Thorn has a distinctly elven feel about her. Look at her, she bloody loves trees, bloody tree hugger, bloody hell. And comes equipped with a powerful longbow capable of making short work of enemy heroes if your aim is true. She can also charge up her shots to curse enemy targets, making them take even more damage for a short period of time. Witchcraft! She is, however, quite flimsy. In fact, a strong wind from Baldur's arse may even make short work of her, so she relies on speed and rapid regeneration to stay sentient. Thorn's first skill is called Volley, and unfortunately it doesn't turn her into a scantily clad volleyball player, you pervert. No, it in fact fires a volley of 5 arrows horizontally in front of her, dealing damage and ricocheting off terrain. Good for clearing waves of minions or enemies grouped together. Her next skill is called Blight. This slender white-haired vixen has a few tricks up her sleeve, and this one summons a dirty green mess on the floor. What will hurt you if you step in it? A nice skill to use defensively if you need to get out of trouble fast. Finally, her ultimate skill is called Wrath of the Wild! And despite my best efforts to get the Battleborn creators to make this move summon a gnarled Bear Grylls, which you can sick upon your enemies, no, instead they went with essentially a giant high-damage green energy grenade which Thorn will lob after a short delay, which is pretty good, I guess. It's not exactly an angry Bear Grylls though, is it? So, how do I feel about Thorn? I love her! Well, just in a normal way. There's nothing going on. Yet. Yes, I found her to be an incredibly powerful character who was effective at both clearing minion waves with her AoE damage moves and sniping enemy players with her high damage charged bow shots. As her stats suggest, she is a bit of a glass cannon, but with a bit of map awareness, you can wreak havoc with this silver-haired devil and make your enemies wish they'd never set foot on whichever mad planet you're fighting over. Marvellous. The last character I got to try in PvP was a punky girl with some funky weapons. It's Melka. Melka is a versatile character with balanced stats who has access to a freakish green claw and a snazzy custom machine pistol, which when used in synergy can be quite devastating. Melka's machine pistol will afflict enemies with venom, which in turn means her melee attacks will deal more damage to enemies. Yes, that's right, it's the old bullet, venom and clawing routine. Classic. Let's have a peek at her skills. Skill 1 is called Claw Lunge.
Come here, Squishy! I want you to meet my scary monster Bio Claw!
Melka leaps forward a short distance to deliver her dirty green claw right into someone's chops for a burst of damage. Most useful for closing the gap to engage in melee, and works well with her next skill, Spike! Melka slams the ground with energy and launches herself into the air, dealing AoE damage and looking glorious in the process. Using this straight after your first skill will net you some good burst damage and allow you to follow up with some ranged machine pistol goodness. On to Melka's ultimate skill, which is called Blade Launcher, a 3-shot range attack which sends envenomed blades at a target, causing them to not only be immediately impaled, but also makes them really reevaluate their life goals and think about whether this crazy war is worth being eviscerated by a flying green blade covered in poison. Now, what do I think about Melka? Is she the poison running through my veins, or is she like the bite of a vicious cobra? I have no idea what either of those mean. But I enjoyed playing Melka. She definitely feels like more of a balanced character, capable of filling a few different roles for your team. At her core, she is a damage dealer, but she's fast enough to be a hit-and-run style assassin, and has a good set of abilities for dealing with waves of those pesky minions. Rock on, Melka, you lovely poisonous slag. So that's it for this video. Those are the characters that I got to grips with in my time playing the Battleborn PvP. But fear not! If you want some more rundowns of Battleborn's colourful cast, then head over to Bong's character impressions video right here. Like now. Literally now. No, actually click